Okay, so I also spent yesterday watching some Max Ophüls. I watched three. I'm gonna put them all in one video. I watched Ronde, Plaisir, and Lola Montès. And I gotta say, so Max Ophüls was making movies towards kind of right after post-war era, and he made some in America, and then he came back to France, and they're lovely and poetic and very French in their sort of nihilism, or not even nihilism, fatalism. I'm not sure existentialism, but obviously, but they're bittersweet in a way that doesn't quite resonate as deeply with me as someone like um, I just lost his name, Marcel Carné, who was making films during the occupation and made films that made me weep openly. And maybe that's because Carné's films are a little more melodramatic, and Wolf's films are a little drier in their sadness. That's my thought, having watched these three in a row now. So Le Ronde is based on a play by Arthur Schnitzler, and it's about a handful of people who, like a merry-go-round, all end up dalliancing together. Dalliancing means they had sex. So it starts with a prostitute played by, I think it's Simone Signoret is the prostitute. Let's see, maybe. I think so. And it goes the woman to a man, that man to another woman, that woman to another man, and on and on and on until it gets back to the prostitute. And it's a to die for cast. Anton Woolbrook, our favorite from the Red Shoes, plays the master of ceremonies, billed as Le Raconteur. He's fantastic. And then some of the other, big character actors in this are Simone Signoret, Simone Simon, Daniel Deroux, Gerard Philippe, like all kinds of great actors from this era of sorry, there is like a bus outside, of this era in French history. It was nominated for 2 Oscars, foreign language film, I think, and art direction for Ophüls, who did the art direction. The art direction is stunning, and I really, really liked the way the film flowed. I liked the chemistry everyone had with each other. I think I kind of wanted it to be a little racier, but then there's a Roger Vadim version, I guess, that is racier, where like Jane Fonda is naked. So I'm kind of interested in comparing and contrasting those two. But in terms of just like knockout ensemble French casts from the 50s, I don't think you can get better than Le Ronde. So the next film is Le Plaisir. It's from 1952, and it's based on one of my favorite novelists and short storyists, Guy de Maupassant. And it's 3 Guy de Maupassant stories told sort of anthology style-esque. And the first one is swift 15 minutes, and it's about a man who basically dances himself to death because he's become old and no longer attractive to women. And so he has to wear a mask, and he's just trying to be young, or like recapture his youth, but you can't do that. And Guy de Maupassant's stories are all very like morality kind of stories, where he showcases our ridiculousness, the ridiculousness of the human condition, and then they all end horribly. And that's kind of why I like Guy de Maupassant. He's got some great stories. So that section, there's the dance, the way the dance sequence is shot is so stunning, absolutely stunning. I loved it. That was probably my favorite part of the film. The next part follows a madam played by Danielle Deroux, who has decided to take her girls to her niece's communion, and that causes some first communion, because that causes some problems because her regulars are all like, wait, where are our ladies? And B, one of them falls in love with I think it's her brother-in-law in the small town. He's played by Jean Gabin, and he's older Jean Gabin, but very, very, very charming. And it's about how you shouldn't judge people based on what they do and who they are, because you never know how you're going to connect with another human being, and you shouldn't deny yourself love. That's really what that one's about. The next story is super dark, and it's called Le Model, and it's about a painter who falls in love with his model, played by Simon, who they get along well until their passion fades, and then his passion fades. And then he's sort of over it, and she's just like, "Bra, you should marry me. What is happening?" And basically, spoilers, she's like, "If you don't marry me, I'm going to jump out this window." And he's like, "I'm not going to marry you." And so she jumps out the window, and you're like, "Ah!" But it's like the most de Maupassant thing ever. And then he marries her out of either, and it's up to you to decide, does he really love her, and her almost dying made him realize it, or does he pity her now that she's in, she can't walk for the rest of her life, and she maimed herself for him, and so he's gonna, out of honor, stick to her. I don't know. And it has this amazing like mic drop ending where it's like the guy telling the story to the other guy, he's like, but that's not happy. And he's like, yeah, but there's no joy in happiness. And you're like, oh, fuck. Great film. I really enjoyed that one a lot. It was just crazy. Like the beginning and the ending, two segments in particular, were so strong and amazing. I really, really liked it. And then the last one is called Lola Montès, and it is notorious for the way that it was butchered upon release. It is Ophüls' last film, shot in Technicolor. It is super intense. It tells the story of Lola Montès, who was a dancer, courtesan, all kinds of things in the 1800s. And it's based on a couple of different retellings of her life. And it was super butchered when it was released because it didn't do well. It got cut down, and some of the cinematography was changed. And thankfully, the producer, about 15 years after it was released, was able to get the rights back and fix it. And then they were able, in about 10 years ago, I think, to completely restore it from the original camera negative back to the exact color and nonlinear storytelling manner in which Ophüls had originally envisioned his film. And so the version you're able to see now is as close to, if not exactly, how Ophüls had wanted to tell this story. That said, it is a bit of a mess. It is uneven. The color is phenomenal. Like, no denying that, like, no one should have questioned how he used cinematography to evoke emotions. Like, the lighting is stunning. I think the main issue is that it has pacing problems where some segments drag and some segments go too fast. It couldn't quite pinpoint what it wanted to say about her as well as it should have, and the actress, I think, is unable to. She's beautiful, but she really was unable to bring an interiority out for the character in a way that would have, I think, elevated the film. But that could have been her being hampered by all of these technical things. I don't know. Maybe it was the way Ophüls directed her, but I think all of that combined, I can see how it wound up, being butchered. But you should never butcher a film. You should just let it die if it doesn't, work. But it doesn't not work. It just doesn't work 100%. So this film also has Peter Ustinov, who's one of the great voices ever, and again, my boy Anton Wolbrook. So always good to see him in a film. Really great story. She's another one who's had her story told on film like 6 or 7 times, mostly by men. So it'd be great to have a woman tackle her story and maybe get closer to the truth, I would think. So these were 3 films by Max Ophüls, Ronde, Plaisir, and Lola Montès. All 3 of them are on DVD, and at least 2, if not all 3, are on Blu-ray from Criterion. You can also rent a couple of them, and they're on Filmstruck right now. Check them out. Max Ophüls. I enjoy him, but not as much as I love Monsieur Marcel Carné.